Hi everybody, my name is Helen Elizabeth Evans, and I wanted to I wanted to share something with you today because I met this lady that I want to talk to today, a little while ago, and the way that I got to know her was because she was doing this conference called the Starburst conference, and I'm really interested in who's doing stuff around the UK, and so I was kind of thinking, wow, that's so interesting, she's fantastic, she's doing that, and then I discovered that she was this really shy person, and I thought, wow, there's a story here. How do you go from really shy, and I've spoken to not only her but a few other people who knew her earlier on in her business, and how she who was very, very shy about standing up in public and actually talking. And I think for me that is one of the most powerful stories, to be able to go from that real shyness to this ability to stand up in front of a group of people and actually talk to them, and not only talk to them but talk to them in a way that is sensible, professional, and share her great content. And so I really just wanted to sit down and ask her about where was she? I mean, and where did she come from, and how did she make these big changes? Because I know that there's a number of people out there, a number of my clients and people who I've never met, who have similar stories to Karen's, where they are held back by their shyness, by their reserve, by their fear of being seen in many ways, their fear of making a mistake. There's so many different fears that we as human beings naturally have, and when I discover somebody who has faced her fears and just gone for it and done it anyway, I'm fascinated. What actually happened, what actually made her sort of push herself forward and do these kind of things. So today I'd like to introduce you to my very good friend and somebody I admire enormously, and I like to call her the archetypal courageous coach, although she does so much more than that. And so, ladies and gentlemen, here is Karen Williams. And Karen, I would love you to start by telling us, before you got into running your own business, before you had your own business, what was going on in your life at the time?
Well, that's really interesting, Helen, because you asked me about my background, my story. And this is something I don't normally share very much because for me it's kind of who I am, but it's not necessarily my story. So I'm going to take you back to my childhood. I'm an only child. My parents were together, 40 odd years before my dad passed away last year. And, I was brought up in a very sort of middle class family without any siblings. And I was really shy as a child. I was the sort of person who would enjoy time by myself, and I had a small select group of friends, but when the phone went, I was the person to run away from it. The front door went, I was really shy. And I suppose that's something that's, I don't know, it's always been there throughout my career, but I've always pushed myself. When I went into my first job, I did hotel management, not exactly a behind the scenes kind of role. It very much, customer facing, where I was with people all the day. And I suppose I've always pushed myself to stand out, or at least sort of step up and do something about it. Before I started my business, where was I? I was in a job, a reasonably good career, something that I enjoyed but didn't really satisfy me that much, and I suppose I knew I was on the planet to do something different. We talked last week about being on purpose, and I certainly wasn't on purpose in my career, and I think that was the catalyst for me to actually decide, what, I found something I really want to do. I found this coaching thing, it really inspires me, it makes me excited, and that's why I went down the route. And kind of starting the business was almost the thing that had to happen alongside it to actually get that message out there, if that makes any sense at all. But I kind of stood there with my coaching certificate, went, here I am, I'm ready to set up a business. Crap, what's next? And I've had to learn a huge amount along the way, and that's really, I suppose, where I've come from.
Well, I know a lot of people that basically come out of their coaching training, and a lot of the coaching training doesn't really actually give you any skills around actually how you now turn the skill that you have into an actual business. I mean, heaven forbid you have to actually ask somebody for money and actually get money from them. Oh God, we don't want to do that, do we? So how did you deal with it? I mean, if you were sitting there with your certificate in your hand and you were like, oh my God, I've got this. I mean, what did you think? Okay, I have to get some clients from somewhere?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. It is exactly what happened. I thought, where do I start? And that's really why I do what I do now, because I see so many people who were like where I was back in 2006, whereas I had a website, I had a business card, I kind of knew what I did, but I didn't have an elevator pitch. My website was homemade. I knew some of the things I had to do, but I didn't really know how to get started. And that's really why I do what I do now as a business owner, helping other people who are in a similar situation to where I was then. So what did I do? Well, I got myself a mentor, because I also knew that learning from other people who've been there, done that, was a really great starting point. And I just did it. And it was really funny, actually. I had a LinkedIn request this morning from one of my very first corporate clients. And this company, Reckitt Benckiser, they found me through my website, so there must have been something about it that attracted me, them to me. And I did a load of work with their sales team on, I suppose it was coaching under a different name. One of the things I used to do, and I still do up to a point, is disc profiling. And I coached the sales team over many days, and to me, that was kind of my first feel the fear and do it anyway moment. Because working in one-to-one clients was fine. I had the confidence to do it. I know I'm good at what I do, but actually going and doing something that scary was, that was really kind of the baptism of fire and the first big break I suppose I had in my business.
Wow, yeah, and I mean that's incredible. But the point is that you could have said no when the business came to you and you didn't.
No, I didn't, and I just decided to do it anyway. And I suppose that is my philosophy, that whenever I face a fear, like doing something new, Helen, just like these Google Hangouts, this is something when we talked about doing a Google Hangout, I went, okay, I've never done that before. But then I suppose I also want to be a role model to my clients. I want to be able to show them what can be done, that it doesn't take much, as long as for me anyway, I learned from, I had a really great chat with a friend of mine who does Google Hangouts to find out what to do, and he's really supported me with this, and obviously enabled us to get up and running. But if I just sit back and if I sat behind my computer every day and I didn't do anything, and I didn't connect with people, I didn't have conversations, I didn't go out networking, I didn't speak, I wouldn't have a business.
But I mean, you did, and that's absolutely key. But the thing is, you did in some ways. I mean, one of the things you decided to do, wasn't it, was to go and write a book. You wrote a book, Secrets of Successful Coaches. I mean, how far along actually into you starting your business did you decide to do that?
Well, when I started my business, I was working full time, and I made that transition over the years to actually go down to part time. And it was 2009 I made this. Well, 2009 I made the decision to write a book. Now, it wasn't really a decision to write a book, it was a decision to find out what made a successful coach, what was missing in my business. So let me qualify that. So 2009 I had clients, I had paying clients, I was asking for money, I was doing a few speaking gigs, I was starting to become successful. I was looking at making that leap from going from employment to actually running a business full time. But I also noticed there's something missing. So when I did my NLP Masters, I interviewed quite a few really successful coaches for the project, and I wanted to find out, what's the difference that makes a difference between a coach who is, relatively mediocre in terms of the business side of things, and a coach who is successful in terms of they're a brilliant coach, but they also run a successful business as well. So I interviewed the likes of people like Dawn Breslin, Gladina McMahon, Michael Neal, Alison Marlowe, and all sorts of people who were very, very successful in all realms of their business. And it was their research, it was their comments that led me to my first book. I didn't actually set out to write a book, it was just really what they told me, the commonalities between what they told me, and I thought, wow, I'm putting this into place in my business and it is turning it around. This information needs to go out to people, and that's really why I wrote the book.
Well, it sounds like I need to get a copy, actually. Okay, but so you wrote the book. What did the book do for you?
It made me step up. The book itself made me overcome some of my fears. It took 18 months from start to finish, partly because I was doing the interviews and partly due to the fact when I was writing it, I went through who am I to write a book? Who's going to want to read it? What if people don't like it? And I think that's what, if I could give, watchers today one of the strategies that I've had to learn or do share now is, unless you step up, you're going to struggle to actually create something that's successful. But when you do step up, not everyone's going to like what you do. And, I went through the whole, who am I to? But then who am I not to? This information worked for me, and if I don't share this information with other people, what's going to happen? So I did the whole big book launch. I hired a room in a hotel. I had about 80-90 people there. I had a lot of people who I interviewed one guy travelled down from gosh, she's in sort of Manchester ways up north, and I'm right in the south coast of the UK. And for me, that was just an amazing experience. And that was the turning point for me, because I realised that I was that business owner. I wasn't just a coach. I wasn't just an NLP master practitioner. I wasn't a trainer. I was a business owner, an entrepreneur, I suppose.
Wow. Big change from the girl who couldn't open the door and ran away from the phone, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Expect it? I mean, did they ever say to you, wow, I mean, oh my goodness?
Well, I think a lot of people have seen a lot of changes. You know, people who've known me for a long time have seen a lot of changes over the last 8 years. From the person I was then to the person I am now, things have changed a huge amount. I've always been a quietly confident person. You know, don't get me wrong, I'm not the sort of person who's going to shy away from things, certainly not as an adult, but I have become much more overtly confident, and I am willing to do things that maybe 8 years ago I would have just said, no, someone else can do that, I'm not going to do it.
I mean, you do strike me. I mean, my whole experience of you is that you're very courageous. You just feel the fear and do it anyway. I mean, and the other thing that, and I get, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I get the impression that the one thing that you're willing to do, which is something that really stands out for me, is you're willing to do it even if you get it wrong. And I think for so many of us, we need to know we're going to get it right before we actually step up and do it.
Yeah, and Helen, to be honest, you know, that's one of the reasons with my clients, I'm very candid, and I'm always willing to tell people what I did wrong. You know, from the very early stages where I got, 1,000 business cards and about hundreds and hundreds of leaflets printed, which were, in hindsight, absolute rubbish. You know, I did what I thought I ought to do right at the very beginning, and I'm prepared to do things wrong, and I'm also prepared to share that with my clients. And also, there's strategies that I put into place. Being quite a shy person, there are strategies I put into place that allow me to do things like this that might sort of, stretch my comfort zone a little bit. So I think, Helen, we've discussed, we're collaborating with the Starburst conference this year, and we've discussed, how we are completely different personalities. Excuse me, you're the sort of person who's quite happy to rock up for a hangout and just get on with it and, go with the flow. Whereas for me, one of my strategies is I like to plan. I like to know what I'm doing. That's why I did some work with Andy Bryan last, a couple of weeks ago to actually find out, how to do a Google Hangout and how to do it properly. Whereas, for you, you'd probably feel more comfortable just rocking up and doing it. And I think knowing your style and knowing how you like to do things is important. Whether you're willing to talk off the cuff or whether you want to actually prepare something. And I think I've gone completely off topic now, but I think
that's absolutely relevant, and I think that's so true, because every single human being is unique and different. And look, I mean, I like to prepare up to a point. I like to pretend that I don't prepare anything, but that's not strictly true. I mean, I do have some preparation. There's often stuff that goes through my head. But the thing is, I struggled at school to speak, to stand up in front of a class and speak. It took me a long time to get to a point. I remember actually I used to work for MGM, and I kind of, they did a whole video, and it was just of me that they showed in front of the whole company. It was absolutely appalling. So it's not like I've always got it right. We all kind of learn. But I love the fact that I really admire the fact that you're just willing to go ahead and just try it. And you know what? You're a go-getter. You're a doer. You're an action taker. And the whole Starburst thing, I think I was like, wow, we don't really have enough stuff like that in the UK at the moment. We don't have enough women out there getting out in front of people and actually saying, come on, we can do this. We can actually create something magical and amazing, and we can actually all support one another. The whole sense of collaboration. How can I support the people around me? How can I make them feel better, because I know they've got something special to offer? And I think that's, for me, what you bring so strongly to the table, and what I find so special about you.
I was just going to say, Helen, there's a lot of, multi-speaker events out there where, they're low ticket price, where they're high, high sales. You go there, you don't pay much, or you might get a free ticket, but you get sold out all day. And you go to events where they're high value, where you get taught stuff you can actually implement that enable you to make money in your business. And that's kind of really what my philosophy is through the Starburst conference, which is one of the reasons for bringing you on board. So we're not fire walking or glass walking this year. However, I like to do something different. I don't want to. It's all about standing out, isn't it? I don't want to be the same. I call it a conference, but it's an intimate conference. There's the right people in the room. It's not where you walk into a room, there's hundreds of people and you feel overwhelmed. I want people who attend to actually get something from it that they can actually implement straight away. And going back to speaking, I remember when I published my first book, and obviously I've got 2 out now, and I know you've got a copy of the second one.
Good. Lots of content.
I published my books because I had a message to share, and if I didn't get that message out there, people weren't going to hear it, they weren't going to implement it, and they weren't going to know about it. So that's the reason I published my books. But also, having your name in print does, adds for credibility, authority, expertise, and yeah, I suppose in a way that's one of the reasons for doing it. And I love to write, so that helps, and I've been told I'm pretty good at it. But also, when I wrote my books, I knew that wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to just put them on Amazon and just go, I hope somebody finds them. For me, that's really when I started doing speaking. And I remember one of my first speaking gigs, and I was in front of a group of only about 20 people. They were coaches, they were NLPers, and I was nervous, and I had the butterflies, and I had the, and I had the PowerPoint, I had the, not death by PowerPoint, because I am, I'm a trainer, so I know what to do. I had my notes, and I was kind of attached to my notes, and I have a tendency of blushing, which is something I've just got used to now, and I'm okay with that. But that was really my first, speaking engagement. And I know you've just seen the video I've done, the Speak Like a TED Talker video, where I did it, taught for sort of 10 minutes, no notes, came from the heart, and that's really where I've developed, and that's just going from about 2009, 2010, maybe even later to now, and that's really just putting some of these strategies in place.
Yeah, well, so can you share can you kind of give our listeners actually some specific strategies? If they kind of want to be getting up and they want to be speaking, are there some things that you can share with them that might make a difference in their lives right now?
Yeah, I can actually, and I was talking to a client about this on Friday. We had an impromptu conversation about it, and she's just been asked to do quite a few speaking gigs. She's done a very successful one recently, and what I said to her is, have a structure in place. It's all great, all well and good doing speaking, but what happens next? Are you going to get paid for speaking, or are you going to be able to sell from the stage? If it's the former, obviously you need to know how that fits into your business strategy and your structure. If you are selling from stage, you obviously need to have somewhere to actually take people. So I suppose, if speaking is one of the marketing strategies that you use, it's about how that fits into your business itself. How does that work? And also, speaking is this. It doesn't have to be, standing up in a pretty dress in front of a group of people. It can be webinars, it can be Google Hangouts, teleseminars. It's about getting your message out there. Strategies, one of the things I'm teaching for my members of my the Business Wow Factor at the moment, which is my membership program, is how to create webinars that sell. So learning from people like me, or other people like me, who have done it, been there, done that, got the t-shirt. And again, I'm candid with some of the things I share. And one of the webinars I was talking about, I've muted myself, I've lost the person I'm interviewing, my computer's crashed, and I will share everything that's gone wrong so that it's less likely to happen to the other people. So
yeah, well, it's basically giving them a checklist, right?
Yeah, it is.
And the thing is, if you are nervous, things are more likely to go wrong because your energy maybe is kind of all over the place, and you're giving real estate in your head, as I like to call it, to the nerves. Whereas when you're less nervous, you're calmer, so you're able to press the right buttons. So one of the strategies is have a sheet next to you, a checklist that can help you focus and let go of whatever's going on for you emotionally or fear-wise, right? Have I described that correctly?
I do something slightly different. I'm quite happy with a little bit of nerves. I'm quite happy with a bit of butterflies, and for me that works because I know that I'm going to be on top. If I'm nervous about it, I'm going to be on top form. For me, having a checklist of what I want to cover is always useful, because I find that if I write things down and I've got it in front of me, I'm more likely to follow it, because even if it's just bullet points. One of the last talks I gave was all about writing a book, and I went in there was 10 ladies in the room, and I just said, what do you want to get from the session? And I was told afterwards I was quite brave in doing that, because I had a checklist, I knew what I wanted to cover, but also if I'm speaking, I want to be able to give the audience what they want. It's not about me, it's about the other people, it's about the people actually listening in, rather than me getting my stuff out there.
And doesn't that make it easier to talk?
Yeah, it's more challenging when you're
in your heart,
Yeah, I think so. It has to come from the heart, and today, what I'm sharing with you comes from the heart. There's no preconceived ideas. It comes from, this is what I've learned, this is what I've done. And I do like to structure, and I do like to have a strategy. And going back to your question, Helen, the other thing that a tip that I would give to people, which I'll be talking about at the Starburst conference, is that when you do speak, speak on a particular topic. Because if you're anything like me, I teach really my 7-step success system, but I could teach all of this. But if you're actually going to do, I don't know, 30-minute, 1 hour, 1.5 hour talk in front of a group of people, you know, how much of that do you actually share, and how much do you actually keep back, and maybe drip feed that, you know, people can learn something else from you. And I think that's the key, is about knowing the message you A, want to give across, and B, that your audience are going to look for, and C, what is the next step for them, because for some people there will be their next step and they will want some more support from you.
Yeah, no, I think that's fantastic. That's great. I mean, you know, it's kind of sending me off on a bit of a tangent, I admit here, because one thing I've realized is that you invest in yourself quite strongly, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
You've invested as an NLP, a master's in NLP. You've invested in training, how to actually train people. You've invested in mentorship, etc., etc. And so you know how important that really is ultimately, because if you invest in yourself, and that's why you have the confidence. You know, you said you have it's nerves, but there's confidence with it behind the scenes. I think how you described it, right? And so I would like to ask you a bit more about the Starburst conference, simply because that is really how I got to know about you. And you know, I think it's about this whole concept of how to stand out in your business, and you created the Starburst as a way to stand out in your business. Would that be accurate?
Mm-hmm. I did, because, you know, the thought of putting, you know, the very first conference, which was back in so this is the third one now that we're doing this year. You know, when I started out and put the conference on, that, you know, that was a real leap of faith. And again, I learned so much from doing it, and, you know, some of the things that went wrong and some of the things went right. And I did it very differently in those days. You know, we did do a fire walk on it was a 2-day event that time. We did a fire walk on the first evening. I had 7 other speakers plus myself. I think it was 7 other speakers, and we had a brilliant time. It was a fabulous event. And then last year we did a glass walk, but it was myself just for a day. And obviously it is about standing out, and it's also for the people who are attending, it's about them making that decision to stand out as well. You know, they're making that decision to do something different. You know, they're not going to rest back on their laurels and think, oh, I'm just going to go to that free event and then I'll come back and it'll feel like I've developed and I've done something, but I'm not going to buy from anyone because I'm not ready. For this type of event, it's more about actually the people who are going are people who are ready to step up. They're the people who are ready for that next stage in their business. And I remember one of my mentors saying to me once, you know, Karen, you're always stepping up. You know, if I say I'm going to do something, I do it. And if I don't do it, there's a bloody good reason why. And I think that's just really where I come from. But it's also, for me, it's about baby steps. You know, if you have got a big vision, a big dream in your business, and I have got, you know, I want to be on, you know, not many people know this, but I do want to be on that TED stage. I want to be doing my own TED talk, but it's baby steps together. It doesn't mean I have to do it overnight, but that's one of the things on my list I want to achieve within the next, it's on my list. I've got a list of things to achieve in the next 10 years. And I think it's kind of early on in that, but it's also about taking baby steps to do it. You know, you don't have to do everything at once. And I think that's important.
So what else what else? I'm quite excited by the fact that you actually have such a big vision for yourself, that nothing really holds you back. So what else do you have besides being on the TED Talk stage? What else do you have in mind where you want to be? What else do you want to be doing in the future?
Oh gosh.
Put it out there. We can maybe manifest it.
Ellie, well, you know I've done quite a lot in the last few years, but maybe I should touch on that first.
No, we'll come back to that in a second.
So what do I want to do? You know, I do want to live and work all over the world and speak all over the world. And I put that out there last year, actually, thinking I want to speak somewhere else. So be careful what you put out there, because I was invited to speak from my office in Portsmouth on a Russian radio station.
Oh my God!
So I did reach a wider audience, but it wasn't quite exactly leaving my office to get there. You know, I've spoken all over the country. I've been up to Cheshire. I go regularly to Essex, London, Kent, Wales, you know, you name it, I do speak everywhere, and I want to get my message out more. I'm on my 3rd book as well. I've got my 4th book in my head, hasn't quite come out yet. So for me, it's just about taking those baby steps to get my message out to more people, because I think there's people out there who need to know this stuff, and they need to know how they can do it.
So basically what you're saying in many ways is that in order to actually up level, you need to know your message. Yes. And that's one of the things that we're going to be doing at Starburst.
Yeah, exactly, and I need to up level if I'm expecting my clients to do the same. You know, I can't stay where I am. If, you know, I'm always taking my clients up with me. You know, they might do something new, so I'm taking them on the journey. And that's really what I want to do, is take people on that journey from where they are now to their big vision. And one of the, a couple of things I ask clients when I start working with them, what is your vision? What do you want to achieve? And the most important one, which everybody loves, is what do you want to get known for?
Oh, that was a good one. Yeah, what do you want to be known for? That's a great question. So in actual fact, that's probably a bit of advice for anybody listening to this. Is the question you want to ask yourself. It'll really help you get clear on, what it is that you really, really want and what's really, really important to you. That's a great question. What else did I want to ask you about? I mean, you just are such an inspiring person for me. I actually love your attention to detail, even though it comes across that maybe I'm quite happy to fly by night, so to speak. I actually love your attention to detail. It makes me feel safe. And I think that's a very important thing for those people out there who may not feel so safe. Do you know what I mean? To be able to work with somebody who makes you feel safe, because they've dotted all the I's and they've crossed all the T's, and if they haven't, they'll fix it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think that's a fantastic aspect of who you are. I want to share with you that how privileged I feel that you invited me to join you during your Starburst conference, because I've admired you from afar for a while. And that how excited I am of what we've actually created on the 2 days. And if I would love if those of you listening just to share a little bit about that, because this is completely Karen's vision, and I really have to give her credit for this, because she has seen what people need in her world. And so on the day that I'm working with Karen, really what Karen wants to help people do is get them out there to be able to share their message in the world, give them the strategies to do that. Is that correct, Karen? Talk a little bit about the day that you're going to be doing, and then I'll explain what I do afterwards.
Mm-hmm. So, well, I know what you're doing on the Friday, and I know you'll share that in a minute, which is about helping people to create that purpose-driven business. And when people have got to that end, I want to help them with their message. So really, for me, it's about helping people to get really clear on their message and how they can get that message out there in a big way. And it's about having a message that touches the hearts of their clients as well. So, it's about being that authentic, being vulnerable, and, really sort of getting that message really, really clear, and then actually learning how you can actually take that message in front of groups of people. So I'll be covering, it's not traditional speaker training. I'm not going to be saying, you need to stand on this side of the stage and then you need to anchor yourself on that side of the stage. It's about having a message that comes from the heart, and the speaking part of it is almost ancillary. It's about making, giving you the skills to be able to do it. So I'll be teaching the skills of a confident speaker. I'll be sharing some examples from me. I'll be sharing something that I learned from a very good mentor of mine. I interviewed him for the first book, Steve Marriott, and he introduced me to a system which allows you, if you do have some nerves, to get your first few sentences, few minutes out with confidence, so that you don't feel like you're going to be really totally stressed and screw up the whole presentation. I'm also going to be covering how do you make money from speaking, because although my book has helped me to get, well, both of my books have helped me to get credibility, if you want to use speaking as one of your marketing strategies, how do you make money from it? But it's also about coming from the heart as well. It's not about the whole money thing, but it's certainly something that has really accelerated my business over the last few years.
I mean, the takeaways, though, for the people who are coming is that they will walk away with a signature talk that with clear about their message, clear about their talk, and they'll have actually had a chance to practice it. Would that be accurate?
Exactly. You said it so much better than me, Helen. And it's also about how to actually get those speaking engagements. Where do you go to? And I have a lot of people say to me, Karen, I want to speak more. It's on the top of my list. I want to do it. But how do you actually do that? So that's one of the things I'll be covering.
Absolutely key. I think that is going to be massive, massive value. And things like, which a lot of people don't know, about creating speaker profiles and things like that, which will make all the difference.
Yeah,
I'm so excited, Karen. I think what you're going to be doing is absolutely fantastic. And I will be there the whole day, because I want to learn too. Even though it might be quite natural for me to be able to get up and speak, I know Karen has got so much wisdom in her that I'm going to learn quite a lot in the day anyway. So I can't wait, and I will definitely be there also to support anybody else who's there. And I'm looking forward to doing my day, which is really all about doing the groundwork for figuring out what your message is, so that Karen can actually I like to liken it to the fact that I'm going to help you create the platform that is stable enough for Karen to actually help you build your rocket that you're going to launch from the stable platform, is the way that I would describe what I'm going to do. So I'm really excited about that. So Karen, are there any last minute sort of tips or things that you could give to people who are listening to this that will really help them in pursuing not only maybe moving into a career that is in the helping industry, or perhaps actually getting up and speaking. I mean, you've shared quite a bit about speaking, but maybe there's something that would help them find the courage to actually do what they need to do.
Gosh, where do I start in sharing this? There's so many things I could share, Helen. I think the first one, start with your vision. You need to know what your purpose is. You need to know what you're on the planet to do. And it might sound a bit sort of far out for some people, but you need to know what's important to you in your business, and also how you want it to grow in the future. Helen touched on my vision. I didn't share everything, but there's certain things that I want to do in my business. And then it's about, you've got to get over anything that holds you back. You've got to feel the fear and do it anyway. You've got to have the strategies to actually, go and do it, whether you learn from someone else or whether you just do it and learn from your mistakes. You just got to try it. And when you are working with clients, one of the things I will say is know who you want to attract, know who your ideal client is. And I'm kind of talking really through some of the stuff I do on a one-to-one basis now, but that comes down to your message as well, and it's something I will be covering at the Starbiz. There's not much point in having a message that appeals to everybody. Who do you really want to work with? And my clients at the moment are working with really specific groups of people that allows them to get in front of those people, so they know exactly how that person can help them and also why they're doing it in the first place. And I think when it comes to running a business, you've got to find that thing that makes you stand out, and you've got to become visible. You've got to sort of just take a deep breath and just go for it and become more visible, and learn as you go to a certain extent, and learn what works, learn what doesn't work. Does that help, Helen? There's so much, I could
brilliant. Share. No, that's absolutely brilliant. It's fantastic. I mean, one of my strategies is it's kind of weird because I'm kind of known for being quite confident, but at the same time, there's a part of me that doesn't really want to be seen. So that whole concept of be visible, I think, it's absolutely essential. People have got to know that you're there. And if they don't know you're there, they don't know that they want to work with you.
Yeah, can I share something personal, Helen? Whenever I do become more visible, whenever I do a video or whether I do something like this, I'm always, it doesn't come naturally to me. I get nervous, and I was nervous before the call today, and I think it's about acknowledging it's always going to be there, but unless you do it, you're going to be where you are now. Unless you make that decision to step up, what's going to happen? You're not going to achieve what you really want to do. You're not going to be able to reach the people you want to do. I tend to work with coaches, therapists, transformational experts, people who want to make a bigger difference in the world. But unless you actually become visible and get out there, you're not going to do it. And there are times when I want to retreat into my shell and just sort of disappear from the world. But then I know when I'm working with my clients the difference I'm making, and that's really key to me.
So basically, I think knowing your why you're doing it, seems to keep you inspired. It seems to give you the courage to actually step up and kind of do whatever you need to do.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, the why is like really key. The why is like the very first part of the jigsaw.
Oh, that's fantastic. Karen, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us today. And I would love it, actually, if you could share with people where they can find out a little bit more about the Starburst conference, because we would love to have the right kind of people join us. And the right kind of people is probably anybody who has resonated with your story today. So would you like to share it with them, and then we'll say goodbye?
Yeah, the Starburst conference, if you are on the Facebook stream or the YouTube video, it's just directly below, I think, the video, or go to www.starbizconference.co.uk. So that's www.starbizconference.co.uk. 11th and 12th of July at the beautiful Denby's Wine Estate. Lovely location. We held it there last year and it was amazing. And that's in Dorking, Surrey. So it's about half an hour. It's about 10 minutes from the M25, about half an hour from London. So yeah, it's going to be absolutely fabulous 2 days. I'm really excited about it, and I can't wait. And there is an early bird ticket if you get in soon. So we'd love to see you there.
Oh yeah, and we keep forgetting to mention this, but there's this. I had some photographs taken by this woman who was, and I've put them up on Facebook, and I'm getting people are saying such amazing comments back, and she hardly charges anything at all, and she's going to be there on Friday, so you can come and get your headshots done, which is all about being visible. Put on your makeup, brush your hair, look nice. I didn't even put any special makeup on for my shots or get my hair done or anything, and I'm probably getting better comments about them than I've had than some of the professional shots that I've had done. So she'll be there too. I'm really excited.
Helen, I lost you there for a second.
Oh, okay. Well, not to worry. I'm really excited, basically, about the show and everything should be. About being there with you and sharing such a fantastic opportunity with you and serving anybody who wants to be there and learn from the two of us.
Brilliant. Well, if anyone's got any questions, obviously they can come back to us and let us know. I haven't seen any. I'm just going to quickly check the Facebook page. I can't see any. I know Tracy's been watching, so I know there's a few people on the Google Hangout, but I've not seen any questions so far. So yeah, for those of you who can make the Starburst conference, I can't wait to see you there. And thank you, Helen, for interviewing me today and getting some of the things out of me that I wasn't quite sure were going to come out.
That is my pleasure. You're a delight, Karen. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.